Swami Director Sri Ankuran Datta, Director Swami Vivekananda Cultural Center, High Commission of India, and Mr. Renuka, Director of SAARC Cultural Center, who has given me opportunity to speak the distinguished people sitting here.
Give it.
His Excellency, High Commissioner of Bangladesh, Director General SAARC, the representative of Sri Lanka, representative of Maldives, representative of Iran, and other distinguished guests. Professor Asanga Tilakratne, who is like my teacher, is sitting here, so it is difficult for me to just speaking very diligently that I have to think many times that what I am speaking. And some of my great friends, Venerable, Professor Vasanta, Professor Ratnaike, and all other, and Sri Desanaike, who just came on my request here. So about the book, when I just talk about Nalanda, before discussing that, I begin the discussion that 10 years. Definitely, I was in my previous organization serving as a founder dean of Buddhist studies in Gautam Buddha University. And that time, the foundation of Nalanda University in India started taking shape, and there was a great debate about Nalanda. So definitely, when any institution is found, it should have a theoretical base. So people also started thinking that there is a lack of concrete evidences on Nalanda as a university. So what kind of work we should produce? And it has effort in many directions and many dimensions. And at that time, fortunately before that, there was a lady professor from Sri Lanka. I just inquired about her health yesterday, and she is still 90-year-old, that Professor Hema Gunatilke. So she called me. She was like a grandmother to me that time. Anand, why you are not sending a good article on Nalanda? So I say that I am starting exploring out destruction and decline of Nalanda. And so I did very hard work for that article. It is 35-page article on Gestor, still thousands of downloads of that. And that lady equally did very hard work to get it published from Royal Asiatic Society. Even that time it was not on, you can say, WhatsApp and all. She just mailed me right 11 o'clock in the night. Anand, just answer the emails I am writing to you, I am editing your article. Don't sleep. 2 o'clock. Then she was counter that. So this kind of things, and that article became milestone, and that gives me encouragement. When Nalanda came to as a university, many people started trying his hand. So I thought, I started exploring the material on Nalanda, 5, 6, 8 books and number of the archaeological reports. I thought it is very easy to write a monograph in Nalanda. Then there is a controversy that some scholars are coming and not able to do writing a coffee table book on Nalanda. So I thought, how is it possible? And that time I was just informed by some prominent academic authorities that you have to go Nalanda as a professor of Buddhist studies to develop it as a faculty. And definitely I follow the master's instruction, come to Nalanda in 2018. And that was the beginning of my work on Nalanda. And that was completed a few months back in 2024. So that journey begins 2012, but finally it was a rigorous journey from 2018 to 2024. When I come to Nalanda, I found that it was a quite illusion that you can produce a work on Nalanda. I used to go Saturday and Sunday on monuments, sitting on that, not knowing anything that from where I have to start. And it take almost a year. I have visited that site over 100 of times, never getting the clue from where I have to start. And then I just got remembrance of one of the greatest archaeologists, Hirananda Sastri, who report one of the first and last before that work on Nalanda in 1935, Nalanda, an epigraphic study. And after that, there is no concrete word. Then I got to just the point that why there is no proper work on Nalanda. There was nothing except 2 kilometers monument. All documents are scattered. Few in Nepal, few in China, few in libraries of Italy, few in Germany. There is no material. So the question is from where you have to begin. So I planned that it should be 200. Fortunately, Professor Asanga was that time in Nālandā University as a visiting professor. I told that I can complete it 200-page work. And then I started writing. It became 17 chapters, 678 pages. Not a single line is repeated in that book. And still 5 chapters are left that I'm probably will going to complete in 2030. So another 5 years. So this is one part, substantial part is there. 1/3 part is still with me in my heart. When you talk about Nālandā, that why Nālandā is necessary. So the beginning is with 2 very important things is that. What is Nālandā? How it come into scene in present perspective, and how you was that time and how you will perceive presently to just inculcate the knowledge that is provided about Nālandā. So the beginning started with Hiranand Sastri, and his mind was that to decolonize the things that is going on. And he did extraordinary work, and that time when he started excavating Nālandā, nobody knows Nālandā. It was simply a Badgaon, a village that is still a village, and majority of monasteries is still under that village. We are expecting somewhere it would be excavated. Because the Nālandā monument we are seeing is only what I perceive in over 10 years of wandering in that region. The monument that you are seeing is only 5 to 10%. Rest is still under the earth around, because Nālandā is not 2 kilometers structure. Its minimum extension may be 20 to 30 kilometers. And I'm not saying it on guess. When you learn Xuanzang, you found he stood first in guest house of Nālandā, where he told about that interrence method was followed. Monks were sitting to just ask you question for just to get admission in Nālandā. And that place is the Begumpur, Damankhanda region, that is from around 6 to 7 kilometers from the Nālandā monument that you have. So if one gate is around 7 kilometers away from the main Nālandā, you can just see that what is the peripheral region of Nālandā. So, and you have got evidences that Xuanzang is saying that she is going to learn the Tipitaka to the masters who are living in Telhara. That is, people are saying that another great monastery, but it is not a great monastery, it was a satellite of Nālandā. That is 50 kilometers away from Nālandā. So you can see that what kind of that Nālandā was. It was not simply this structure. It's a huge structure. And the book has 17 chapters, and basically we discussed that what kind of debate that emerged in the colonial structure. So first thing that things came into our mind. Everybody talk about that, just taking the clue that when you ask about people of Nālandā, Nālandā University was founded by Kumar Gupta in the 5th century Common Era. Shakaraditya is title. I have not found a single source where it is written. The question is, if Alexander Cunningham right, it was founded, why you are accepting it? Who told? Where it is told that he founded? And the again question is, if you are saying it is founded in 5th century, you have excavated, and from temple number 3, you found that the earliest excavation stratification is belong to Ashokan period, that is 3rd century BC. So Nālandā itself is showing it is 3rd century BC, and you are saying it is founded in the 500. So this kind of debate that I come into picture, how you can resolve this, the question is. And so I started tracing the thing. And so the first, after introduction, I give the chapter that Nālandā as from Vihara to Mahāvihāra. you have to understand that how this monastery come into the picture, and how this monastery when come into picture over a time evolved as a Mahāvihāra, that you call that university. Mahāvihāra simply means university. So this debate I just taken into the picture, both with the support of the literary literature as well as archaeological support. You find it, at least I have mentioned every sources, that at least in the Nalanda and in vicinity of Nalanda, the archaeological sources go beyond that NBPW age, that is beyond the 7th century BC, 8th century BC. Means the area was settled in age of the Buddha. And some of the very prominent Buddhist sutra, like Kevat Sutra, like Brahmajala Sutra, was spoken to by the Buddha in the Nalanda. So the monastery was founded, and these sutras simply just mentioned. I am giving one reference, that Ekam Samayam Bhagava Nālandā Vihirati Pavarika Ambavane. Very simple that. It is, literature is showing that here Pavarika Ambavane was monastery that was given to Buddha, and Buddha is just settling here. And it was not one time, on many times, at least 15 plus sutras are mentioning. I have mentioned only 2, that these kind of, so the question is that why you are telling that it was founded. So I put this thing finally, I just try to end this debate. No, Nalanda as a monastery was founded in the 6th century BC as a vihara, and in the early phase it was evolved in the 1st century common era as a great university. It was a beginning. The first inscription, the epigraphic record, not belong to Shakaraditya Kumar Gupta, but his grandfather Samudra Gupta. So, and literary sources, that is the great Sri Lanka is, that's why I just worship the literary tradition of Sri Lanka, though it's a very late tradition. Of 12th century, there is a monk who's known as Dharmakirti. He mentions this story in very late tradition, and that was quoted by that Hirananda Shastri. He mentions that how he started developing the Mahayana center. So I started that how you can treat with Mahāvihāra, how you treat with Vihara. So, and what is the structure that developed here? So the first thing that I try to just solve this controversy. Second, that it is just says that there is another very debate that it was simply a Mahayana institution. Definitely, it was dominated by the Mahayana. But when you look into it, you find it, you cannot say that this institution totally belonged to Mahayana. Because there is 2 parallel systems are working. One system is that is still, this monastery is following the monastic system. And the Mahayana, basically Nalanda, what you call is the scholastic system. What is the debate between them? Debate is that monastic system is only for develop the monk, train the monk for themselves and for the monastic propagation. But a scholastic tradition is basically the studia generalia, where the knowledge is open to all. Even people say that non-monastic people also can learn, can come and learn. Though I have not found any non-monastic people as a student in Nalanda during my research. But it is said. So finally, how it transformation taken place? Is it the Shramanaya tradition? It is that Acharya tradition of Upadhyaya tradition, early tradition lost? No. Is Pali tradition lost? No. We have got wonderful archaeological evidences in which the teaching of Paticca in both form, that is, you can say that is mentioned in the high slates, I call it slates, that is in the reserves category of the Nalanda Museum. I have given the picture. So, and it was written in the Pali, probably of 8th, 9th century. I just guess it that probably it was used as a slate to memorize the both kind of functioning of Paticca for the youngsters basically. There is many texts that was developed in the Pali on Rahula. Basically Rahul is considered to be the most important example for the Shramanaya tradition. And there was a Rahul cult in Nalanda. And we have almost 40-50 seas. I have given the picture of seas that is mentioned Rahulasya. So what kind, and this tradition was still in the Pali. So it is almost very, what you say that approach that is not in the proper way that he called that here only that Mahayana teaching was there. It was both, definitely the scholastic tradition dominated. Third thing that I can take into the picture is that everybody talks about that Nagarjuna was the founder of Nālandā tradition. And nobody mentions that where Nagarjuna was in Nālandā. How he came. There is no single reference that was found about Nagarjuna in Nālandā. So the question is that how you associate with him. And Nālandā tradition we talked, it is almost totally, you cannot talk about the Nālandā tradition without Nagarjuna. So first, I just try to find that how Nagarjuna became associated. And so South Indian tradition I have learned, and then finally I am successful to trace his root, and also just found the reason that why he was, I am using the word, compelled to leave South India, Andhra region, and finally why he come to Nalanda. And his work, if you read that, Suhura Lekha, in which he was, Suhura Lekha, he was begging to the Satavahana king that kindly also help me, kindly just also patronize me, we are not going to survive. So the question is that why he's begging for that, why he was writing and pleading for that. So definitely here you have to demarcate between Mahasanghikas and Mahayana. You cannot say that both are earned. Mahasanghikas were dominating that region, and they have developed a new kind of teaching that was not totally Mahasanghika, and Satavahana were supporting the Mahasanghika, and because of that, initially he was pleading, and when he was not able to find support, he come towards the Nalanda, where Gupta dynasty emerging, and Kumar Devi, a great Buddhist devotee, a Likchavi princess, was ready to patronize Nalanda. So this, and that information is mentioned in the late Sri Lankan literature I have mentioned, that was written by Dharmakirti in Pali. So this kind of, you can say that I traced now to remove some anomalies and try, and you find it archaeologically in one monastery, I am forgetting the name, in that mentions that before coming to eastern region, Nagarjuna stayed here for 6 to 8 months. Some Sri Vishnupura like monastery that is on the border of Andhra Pradesh and Orissa. So that finally just gives you idea that Nagarjuna is the very important things that are. Philosophy, because there is a lot of work on philosophy, so I have not given too much references of Nalanda philosophy, because enormous work was produced, and basically I have not enough knowledge of that Nalanda philosophy. This was also the reason. In 17 chapters, when you talk about that, I try to find that why Nalanda became important. Why it why it conquered half of the world. This is very important. So the religion is not the reason. Religion is one of the reasons. The culture, the aesthetic, the medicine, the technology, the astronomical things that Nalanda produced, that helped Nalanda to conquer the world. It was not only the teaching only interested by the venerable monks, not the commoner. Commoner need food, commoner need medicine, commoner need protection, commoner need something when he worship to, in the next, I live happily in this world, and when I am going to next world, I got heaven. So this kind of things, Nalanda produced, all these kind of the things. And for that, I have just given 5 chapters, and these 5 chapters are indicative, I say too, like healer monks of Nalanda, mesmerizing that. Enormous literature all over the world, and nobody is working. It's painful. Enormous literature. And just try to face that how Nalanda developed as a great, I used to tell my students that India especially Nalanda, has given the concept of first corporate hospital in the world. And that corporate hospitals were free of charges. They not taken single money. Now you can go in the corporate hospitals, then either death, or you can say that you would be devoid of all money you earned throughout whole life. Free. And how it developed? It developed with the concept of Sariputra's brothers. Buddha came, and first time he got that, I'm just looking some favorish. So he came, and near the place of Sariputra's village, they started telling that, tell me these Buddhist sutras, these kind of things. His brother, also a monk, started telling him. So ask that, why you are telling it? It give you mental strengthening. And here Buddha divided that how you need the two kind of medical system. One is how you would be mentally fit and how you would be physically. So this is the beginning of the Nalanda school of medicine. And it was evolved, you can say, that much later. They have produced best of the surgeons who were specialized in many things. I have mentioned three categories of literature that you find, you will get amazed. One on gynecology, two on pedestrian, child, and the third is eye surgery, ophthalmology. And all are discovered as an original manuscript in Nepal, in Sanskrit form, in Tibet, and in China. And in China, it was a part of Tipitaka. It is so. And if you try to learn that how they evolved Angulimala's concept of paritta, for just protection of mother and child, and come into the picture, they have enormously developed this medical science. In Indian system, I don't know that Sri Lankan system, we have that 9-month system that when child is born, almost medicine is there. 12 months is given for protection of women and child. 12 months. Pregnancy. Every month there is a different kind of food, different kind of medicine, different kind of rashas. And even no, they are very helpful. If, yes, a mother is under pressure, the medicine's taste is not good, kindly mix some jaggery, kindly mix some medicine. So you should just monitor that she should drink it. How cautious this system was. When child was born, enormous medical arrangement. It was given, it is almost published, also translated in English, these kind of literatures you see. So this kind of eye surgery, eye care. I Ching mentions finally, you can say that. It is a rule in Nalanda monastery that you shoot that collyrium after just taking lunch and before and when you are going to take rest. Why? Also mentions that thing that it gives you soothes your eyes. So you have to again study for that. So how caring? Then there is a surgery for that if your eyes. So this kind of things that they have enormously just developed this idea. So you see that fine. And a very interesting article, things that I want to give. Jaggery. It is said that Gud we call. Gud have conquered the whole Asia. And you know what's in whole Chinese, East Asian region, Southeast Asian region, people eat less sugar, prefer jaggery. Xuanzang was studying in Nalanda and going to Mahabodhi for darshan, for just paying homage to the Buddha. On the way he feel thirsty. So there is on the way people was making jaggery in the winter season. So he came for the water and people offered jaggery. He eat and drink it, water, and he found this very good. What is this? So people say that this is from sugar cane and all. He was so overwhelmed, he requested the Acharya of Mahabodhi, kindly give me 2 monks, and also I need technicians that how they made this machine. He sent them to the China, trained the Chinese for that, and within 10 years, the jaggery that went from Nalanda completely overwhelmed whole Chinese region. Very common thing. It is not only the teaching and philosophy, how common thing, how social exchanges. So this kind of things that first time I discovered, how, because everybody don't know that intricacies of the Paticca Samutpada theory of karma. It is for how commoner. The drum that was used by as a mantra in the Vajrayana, all this was invented in the Nālandā and Gaya region, Mahabodhi region. So this kind of things I just have discussed the things. In other chapter, first time I tried to found is 2-3 very important things that was never discussed, and it was high demand in Nālandā, that it was so large monastery. If you believe that 10,000 monks and 3,000 teachers means agar 30,000 people are living as simultaneously, so what would be their financial management? What would be their living pattern? So try to discuss, try to find, and you will be amazed that definitely this monastery was run on the village donations. And you found it, what I found that the farthest land grant that was given into the district where I was born, in Shravasti, Baharaich, that is 700 kilometers from Nalanda. You can imagine. So where it was, people say it was adjoining villages of 100 villages of that one. And when you learn the monk and relation between monk and peasants, it's found that it was totally depend upon the welfare economics. If there is no rain, no tax. There is less rain, they reduce the tax. If you are not getting the support of bull or plow, monk would provide the money for that. They will not give you tax in kind, majority. In the surrounding village it was a rule. You will give the milk, you will give the fruit, you will grow the something like cereals, like all. So this kind of mechanism that was developed. And very intricate. And because of that, because there is a lot of debate over, because Nālandā, in the all surrounding region, there is a lot of patronage of the mercantile community. In Nālandā, there is only one indirect reference of the donation given by the merchants. So the question people raise that why merchants were not donating, probably they don't need, they have a very vast, you can say, financial resources. And it definitely was a great loss to them. Water management. Astonishing. We have only 2 ponds till that is attached to monastery till date. I Ching says that for bathing only there was 10. Still Nālandā has 52 ponds and 3-4 are very large. So there is 2 kind of water management. One is serving for the monastery, not for drinking. Every monastery has their well. It is for basically the bathing and other use, and for outer skirt there is a large source of water, basically for the orchards, not for agriculture, for you can say that irrigation of their lawns and etc. that so. 2 we have found, and if you learn their management, you found that I Ching mentions that all ponds were surrounded by huge sal tree. Why? To cover it up, because it is for the bathing space. Monk should not take bath in the open. So they have created a natural boundary. They have a measured cloth for bathing. That when you just go bathing cloth, it would be to the knee size. You cannot open it coming outside. Very extensive, and all kind of things you just founding that what is into the system. You can just found it when you say that one of the very prominent popular Pokhar, where now Chhat worship is very popular. So we found it that such kind of arrangement was for the Nalanda. Again, there is 2 very important debate. Then I will just come to that. And the 2 debates is that about that 10,000 monks and 3,000 teachers. So again, I just request all academics, people of academics, don't study Nalanda on monuments what is exposed. People study Nalanda only on the structure that you find only through the tourist map. It is only 5 to 10%. The rest is still either partially exposed or is still under the earth. So, if you count on that 1 kilometer structure, how it is possible 10,000 students, it would be a wrong idea. And if you found that extensive boundary of Nalanda, it is quite possible that the monk of such strength can live. And it was a specialized university. If you have to learn one school, you have to learn one particular place. You have to learn one, and I'm not saying it on the basis of conjecture. In 11th century, the chief abode, 12th highest, the 10th or 11th century, the chief abode election was in Nalanda, and the monk was appointed chief abode, I'm forgetting his name, mentioned in this book, belonged to a monastery whose known as Mahamamrapura. Presently it is known as Ghosarwa. It is 20 kilometers from Nalanda. So the monk living in the Ghosarwa is coming to be appointed as chief abode. The question, how he can be chief abode when he is not linked to Nalanda? So one satellite college is still there where? 20 kilometers away. So kindly just look into that what Nalanda was. It was very extensive, that university, that kind of things. And the last point that I will discuss, and then in my things that what our younger brother told about the books and all. So first, that Nalanda was instrumental to create a kind of book cult. And in that sense, that influenced whole Theravada and Mahayana. Such a miraculous organization of the books. The question is that how and they did it, and what was their support? So the first thing is that they started developing the manuscript culture. Definitely that was prevalent in India much before that, because if Ashoka is writing the inscription and mentioning the Pali suttas in his by art inscription, there was a writing system. But how you will just develop the book for reading, and that reading is not for a single person, multiple hands. So you need its proper configuration and preservation. If a book is going in 3 hands, it will finally shatter if binding is not clear. So the question is how you will develop this kind. And for that, I mentioned the technology, that how they developed the paper, how they developed the binding, how you just read this. And Xuanzang mentions that every manuscript has the multiple copies. Even he translated each book, 650 plus manuscript he translated in many, not only he took the support of other, in many volumes. Like one book he take 5 to 6, because his one copy that he left to the Dunhuang was discussed later on by R.L. Steen. So all the copy that is translated from Nalanda is finally found in China. So this kind of that culture, the question is that it is very, that very costly work, how can you say? And you find very amazing inscription of Pala rulers. Wonderful, that mentions one part of this donation is to purchase paper. Paper, he says that parch paper. To purchase pen. To purchase ink. There should be no dearth of supply for writing, because this writing is for the eternity, till the endurance of moon and sun. So amazing. You have archaeology, it's directly just mentioning them. So mesmerizing culture. Definitely in my 10 years of wandering, I am still not able to find where is library. Probably under a village. Because in both Theravada and Mahayana tradition, library cannot be within the monastery. If you see Cambodia, Angkor Wat, if you see that Mahāvihāra, if you see the remains of in Sri Lanka, that is Abhayagiriya, if you see the remains of Vikramshila, if you see the remains, library is a place of silence. It is always built outside the monastery. It cannot be with the living space. So, all the structures, at least 10 countries I have visited and finally found everywhere in a prominent Buddhist vihara, library is built outside the main monastic complex. It may be within the monastery, but it is with the main structure. Where there is a hostel, cannot be library. So where is library? Maybe under the village sometimes. We are hoping to get it. Again, how million books? Cannot say as a historian and archaeology. We don't have such data. But definitely it is million of books. It is 9 million? Cannot say. Million of books are there. Definitely. Fortunately, majority of Mahayana, medicine, astronomical books were saved. What was greatest loss to us? It was a Vada tradition in which all religions were studied for their betterment. So the work on the Vedic studies, the work on the Sankhya philosophy, the work on the Vedanta, the work on the Nyaya, were lost. This is the greatest loss to us. Why lost? Because when monks were compelled to flee, he took only religious books. Tibet shifted, Nepal shifted. They left everything that was non-religious. So that is the greatest loss to India and all over the world. We lost everything. And Nalanda was not burned once. Bhaktiara and his men, I have proved it, burnt it down minimum 5 times. 30 kilo monastery, nobody can burn at one time. I don't know how many months it burned, but there is definite evidence that it was burnt 5 times. The last time it was burned was 1235. We talk about only 1191. And it was the last record of Nalanda to us. A great monk of Tibet, Swami, was present there. And he mentioned in his diary, I, with Chief Abbot, who was 90-year-old, fled to the place when his army came and kept destroying the things. And probably he went, I place identified, Rukmani Asthan. The largest Buddha statue of Nalanda is there. If you visit Nalanda, please do visit. Now it became a goddess Rukmani Asthan temple. But by the way, by that it was Buddha idol was preserved. It became a local temple. So probably he just hid with that. And after that, the chief abbot instructed him to go to Tibet. And he told him, I will die here. And after that, he mentions that 3 monasteries that time by 1235 was still functioning. 70 monks were still there that time. So the question is that what happened if this mishap, this kind of thing not happened? Probably in the latter age, the monastery and tradition would have survived. So this is the thing. And there is evidences. I am the first who discovered the mail coat. Its one part is that is kavach, we call shield. Whole shield is discovered in monastery number 1. Finally, the archaeologists discovered it and put it into the jute bag and they forgot it. So it is in the reserve collection. Sometimes the full museum come, it will be displaced. And that is Central Asian origin. And that give you direct evidence of war there. At least I have discovered out of 11 monasteries known to us, 9 have evidence of burning, and that burning belonged to 11th to 12th century. So there is no doubt that it was burned down. but it was not burned down at this time. Nobody can, even you can, no modern age you cannot burn this. It was burned incessantly, regularly, till it was completely destroyed. And it happened not only to Nalanda, it happened to whole Mahaviharas across the middle Ganga Valley and lower Ganga Valley. So the things it says that probably after the Palas, when Gahadwalas come, when Rajputs come, their patronage ended monastery this kind. No. I have discovered many such inscriptions of the Gahadwalas, especially on the Kushinagar in Shravasti, all reason that they are supporting the monks by donating the villages. I have just all the documents that I have discovered. So definitely they are not cause. It was destroyed finally, and Nalanda tradition was, though I used to call the people in India, don't treat this is as a monument. This is a living tradition. This give you inspiration. So anybody who's coming, I have not mentioned two chapters, at least must read my chapter of the China and Indo-China relations. How Mao Tse's official historian, who she trying to revert the theory of Nalanda. And at least he says to Mao Tse, though we are changing, but at one day we have to accept that India is my Guru. I have quoted his inscription. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. His Excellency, the High Commissioner of Bangladesh, Director of SAARC, Swami Vivekananda Cultural Center, representatives of Maldives High Commission, Director General of SAARC Division of Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Sri Lanka, Most Venerable Mahasangha, our students from PGI PPS, Professor Asanga Tilakaratna, is also here, and distinguished scholar. I'm thinking whether I have to say much about beyond what Professor mentioned, because he's the person who can memorize what he wrote. He gave a very powerful kind of presentation about the content of his book. Now, I'm not a person, of course, who can memorize the content of the book. So I have prepared this document depending upon my understanding during last few days. Actually, I could read only 4 to 5 chapters, 3 to 4 chapters. I know that this is a very gigantic work and a very profound study. According to the agenda, of course, we have to, this discussion, introduction, we have to stop by 4:35. Therefore, I will just mention about one thing, that whole book is absolutely a beautiful thing that inspires reading. So, no doubt about that one. But I have been reading 4 to 5 chapters, and I understood that it takes a lot of time to digest the content. But I would like to say something about some of the chapters. Of course, I will read what I have written because I cannot remember what I read now. So basically, when I saw the book, of course, the first thing I am very much concerned with is that the beauty of the book. So I write on my paper that I would like to comment the outward appearance of the book, the complete with the well-designed book jacket, which in Sanskrit we call Kanchuka, featuring a beautiful photograph of Nalanda. The size, weight, and the quality of the paper are all user-friendly. making the book accessible for readers. Additionally, the technical aspect of the text, including its layout, formatting, are of high standard, adding its overall readability and professionalism. So, looking at the book, actually, it's a beautiful piece of work, looking from its outward appearance. There are many. I also want to say something about Professor Anand Singh is a serious scholar who has addressed multiple aspects of Buddhist history, archaeology education, environmental studies, and more. In this book, he continues the tradition of Indian scholars on Nalanda, starting with the figures like Hirananda Sastri, of course he mentioned about him, who named the village, if I am correct in pronunciation, Badagaon, in present-day Bihar at Nalanda. Under the Archaeological Survey of India, Sastri conducted significant excavations in 1910s, and he was the person who named Nalanda, renamed the village Badagaon as Nalanda. Professor Anand Singh's book arguably the most comprehensive work on Nalanda. I think because you understood, he clearly explained the significance of his book. And it draws, I think, extensively from Buddhist texts, primary sources from broad spectrum of Buddhist traditions and scholarly works in the field of history, art, archaeology. Additionally, it includes reports from Chinese pilgrims who visited the site. Across 17 chapters, it's a gigantic work, I call it. Across 17 chapters, the book delves into numerous aspects of Nalanda legacy, such as scholarship, economy, administration, artistic and archaeological remains, religious practices, and its far-reaching influences on Southeast Asia and Far East, particularly China. Notably, the book consciously avoids delving into philosophical ideologies. I got from reading the book, Professor also mentioned, instead of concentrating on the broader historical and cultural context. There is something interesting that I noted in one of the chapters. We don't have time, so I will say that, and then I will stop my explanation. So the chapter 12 is a beautiful thing about goddess Tara. Normally we understand this as a Mahayana introduction, so his interpretation is very naive. So he says in the 12th chapter, Tara is the latest viewpoint, the view concerning the origin of goddess Tara is the latest viewpoint in this regard. Worshipping Tara at Nalanda, chapter 12 refutes the commonly accepted view that Tara, the goddess, which later was called the Shakti of Avalokiteshvara, was originated within the Mahayana pantheon. In the contrary, Professor shows, based on Mahayana and Theravada sources, the concept originated from early sources of Buddhism. He shows that the Mahamaya's bond with Siddhartha remained throughout his life. Mahamaya returned earth when Siddhartha was lying down on the ground unconscious due to the strains of the penances he practiced. She uttered Siddhartha that how she could leave the body without attaining enlightenment, while sage Asita had been proclaimed that he will be an awakened one. Siddhartha consoled his previous mother, saying that he undoubtedly will be the Buddha's own. When the Buddha attained enlightenment, Mahamaya informed Kapilavastu the news of appearing in the guise of palace maiden. She returned earth again when the Buddha attained Parinibbana. She became the, as Professor says, the pole star and the Tarini, the star. Interestingly, in the buried artifacts, there had been found a small figure of Mother God, gold leaves, representing star-like objects that are supposed to reveal the connection between Siddhartha and Mahamaya. The concept of Tara, in that sense, then must have arrived from this idea of Tarini. So it is something that inhaling from these ideas are reflected in the early text. So, to finish my discussion, now we should understand the labor of Professor Anand behind this marvelous work. No one is going to profit oneself by completing a book of this nature in the part of this world. What remains with the author is the satisfaction out of one's contribution and the probable admiration by peers. The book stands as the most detailed document of Nalanda. The book will remain the master research for 20 to 25 years, I hope. More years to come. Professor Anand Singh deserves a great appreciation of Buddhist scholars in the world. Undoubtedly, this will become a marked reference book of Indian Buddhist art history and finally archaeology. There are lots of other things that draw my attention, but due to the lack of time, we can't deal with all these things. Hopefully, we will be able to discuss some of these things in the question session after this. There is a sloka like this. Vidvan eva vijanati, vidvajana parisrama, nahi vandya vijanati, guruing prasalvedana. Only the erudite knows the pain of the scholar's effort. The infertile woman does not know the labor pain. These fertile people know your pain. Thank you very much, Professor, for your production of a wonderful work, a contribution to the studies of Buddhist studies. Thank you very much.
What was the connection between Nalanda University and the people of Sri Lanka, especially the Sinhalese people, and especially Aryadeva? Aryadeva is very famous, and Dalai Lama himself says of the 17, he gives names of 17 scholars, and one of the scholars is Aryadeva. Could you kindly explain Aryadeva's role in Nalanda?
Two questions. Sorry. Actually, you have asked about that two segment of the questions. That the first is about that what kind of connection that you talk about between Sri Lanka and Nalanda, and second is the Aryadeva. So Aryadeva is basically the scholar and he was one of the earliest scholastic scholars who tried to explain the philosophy that you call Madhyamika and Shunyata in more prolific term. Actually, when Sutra and Shastra tradition was founded by Nagarjuna, and after that scholars like Aryadeva and others came into frame, they found that their philosophical thing is very abstruse and very difficult to inculcate it by even the scholastic monks. So their Tibetan tradition, it says, it's not basically Indian tradition, more work is to be done in that. So it is said that these acharyas were basically worked to simplify the teachings that was established and founded by Nagarjuna. So Aryadeva is one of that. Tibetan traditions accept that 17, 18, these kind of very prominent monks who were the real representative of Nalanda tradition. Any Indian scholar beg to differ from these points. Nalanda has great tradition that lasted over 1,500 years. How can 15 monks contributed to this? Maybe, I'm just coming one point, but maybe million of the monks. Some of the prominents, some were forgotten, some work is not found, definitely. So these that Aryadeva, Dhammakirti, Diganaga, these all finally, they have developed their own kind of thing. Somebody developed Vada, some developed logic, some developed also these kind of things. When you talk about the Sri Lanka, you have very interesting question. That is very prolific things is that Sri Lanka's Nalanda relation can be examined. I have examined already in two terms. One is that cultural and economic terms, and the second is that knowledge, exchange of knowledge. First I come to cultural, that we are going to revive if Nalanda tradition really existed, that it would just, I call it that Sri Lanka was the ancient Singapore. It was the trade hub and also a cradle of culture that Indians carry to Southeast Asia and from Southeast Asia to East Asia. Here all economic, if you learn my chapter, that economic, cultural context with Java, majority, the theory that everything started from South India is diminishing because number of discoveries. So the very important thing is because of the winds movement and all majority ships and that also coming, the monks come to Sri Lanka waiting for suitable season, and then they move to Java. If they are going to stay there, they will stay. Otherwise, further for suitable region, they will move to East Asia. So this is very important thing that was unexplored, and we are just exploring it. And also that Southeast Asian and East Asian nations, and we got number of discoveries in Thailand, in part of Java, archaeological. And that cultural context that we are perceiving that it began in the 500 Common Era, now goes to 2000 BC. 2000 BC. So this is very important thing. Second thing, people thought with the emergence of Mahayana and Nalanda, there is almost, Sri Lanka was Theravadin country. Nobody. You see that many monks, like I am just saying Vajrabodhi something, and 3-4 monks. He went from trained in Nalanda, then gone to South India, then settled in China. And we just learned the history. There is only 3 monks, Xuan Shang, Fayan and all. If you see the Canton literature that was translated by Japanese, at least we have a reference of more than 5,000 Chinese monks who come to India, maybe 10,000. It is written, recorded between 864 to 67. We have a reference of 600 Chinese monk. 157 was directly sponsored by Chinese emperor to come to India. So this is a very huge interaction, you can say. Thousands of monks are coming here and there. So, and in it, that monk is saying that you have to further enhance your knowledge. So he told, you visit Nalanda, but you also visit to Sri Lanka to learn Buddhism. So that Vajrabodhi or something like monk, Vajra is simple, other name. He come to Sri Lanka, learned 3 years, and that time that what you say that other is Vihara, Mahāvihāra, Abhaygiriya was lost. So he came to Mahāvihāra tradition. So what he was learning? Theravada definitely. So this is not he want to learn. Sri Lanka, then he went to Nalanda, then he went to China, and he again taken 500 literature from Sri Lanka and India to China. So it's very prolific connection that Sri Lanka and Nalanda has, though not visibly described, because the both traditions are different, working in different arena. But when you go deeper, you find it that academic and economic both collection was finally well established.
You are not mentioned here. I was hoping to get that from you. But the Aryadeva, the origins of Aryadeva, the origins of Aryadeva, was it in Sri Lanka and Anuradhapura or somewhere?
No. His origin is definitely Andhra Pradesh, we call it. That majority of the earliest scholars belong to South India.
So you are not affirming, accepting that Aryadeva?
No, I will not, because I don't have the evidences, so how can?
Taranta, Tibetan history of
No.
India?
That's other debate. Basically, the Tibetan history and Tibetan thing is that they all developed in the post-12th century where there is no Nalanda. So basically, I have mentioned, if you read my chapter on that is Acharya Nagarjuna, many methodologies and things were introduced that is not belong to Nalanda. So what is the origin? Basically, the Tibetan literature is developed out of faith. So historical content is, in particular literature, is how much it depends upon the literature. So definitely many theories that they have developed, Buddha is born somewhere, some says in Orissa, now somebody is saying in also Sri Lanka. So definitely it is not the historical truth. History is history, that you have to go by that.
Is there any one name
Huh.
of Sri Lankan or Sinhalese origin that we can be proud of connected to Nalanda?
I call Dharmakirti.
Nalanda?
That is born. He gives very important source of history. Yes, Dharmakirti. He was not a monk probably. But he written the historical document about Nalanda, and that is the only source that say that Mahayana shifted to Nalanda.
And
Only
he's
source.
He's of Sri Lankan origin.
हाँ, Sri Lanka.
Thank you. Thank you. That's it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Prof. Anand, thank you so much for this wonderful work. And I remember you were working on this magnificent volume when we were
Together.
in teaching
Nalanda.
And I'm really personally very happy to see that finally it has come to fruition. So congratulations, thank you so much. Actually mine is not a question, but even when I was in Nalanda and also thinking about Nalanda and the other universities, what we call universities, Vikramshila, Jagadala, and all the Buddhist places, one question that always came into my mind was why this what we call university, although the term university is a term, the modern term, but in the real meaning of the term was lived in Nalanda, where all the subjects known in the world by that time were taught. My observation was why only, correct me if I'm wrong, this kind of huge centers were fostered only by Buddhists. Now I thought, anyway, my own justification, understanding was that the very concept of knowledge, and if you take the concept of knowledge in Buddhism, knowledge to be the very important means of liberation, liberation being the need for all the people, so therefore knowledge had to be given to everybody. Now I thought maybe this is perhaps the philosophical reason behind why Buddhists develop this kind of what we call universities. Now perhaps the Brahmanic concept of limiting the knowledge to a particular group, maybe perhaps that prevented them creating universities. But I mean, this is my conjecture. Have you thought anything about it, Prof?
Yes, sir. First of all, sir, thank you. Professor Sangha is, I just told, like my teacher, and I keep disturbing him. I mean, so out of 17 chapters, probably 10 he reviewed, and I just compelling him, sir, do it, kar do. Okay, Ananda, I do it. He was still, Ananda, I will do it. So, and he was quite very helpful throughout my academic life, and also that all Venerable, any Sri Lankan, I need some work, I just sending email, I need this. And sometimes a huge book, they are scanning 400, 500 pages, sending to me to India. So this is the one thing. The second thing, sir, two very important point. One about that institutional knowledge we are talking about, then definitely we have a very peripheral evidence because of disturbed geography. But, and now the pressure is on me to do work on it, but how it is possible that definitely the literary evidences are showing that we have the first institution that has evolved that primary to higher knowledge is definitely Takshashila in the 6th century BC. Naturally, Buddhist literature itself says that Jiva, a great physician, was product of that university. So, but archaeologically, we are not able to that because we cannot go to that area because of certain issues, you know it that. So, even I was told to do that, how can I do it, you are not able to go. So that thing is that there is a kind of institutional things that was in the mind of Indians. Definitely, Buddhism has that, what I am just telling just when I talk about that Pali, that they just took this inspiration and finally institutionalized those things. How it was Nalanda, when you talk about liberation, I have a little just diversion from that, definitely. When you look to Nagarjuna in non-religious context, means not philosophical context, he was saying that the original Buddhism means that all are very strong here. So how we can develop the Mahayana? That should not be against that, means otherwise it would be a charge of heresy. But how we should make it popular. So he took the idea of liberation in the two sense. That definitely one is that liberation in the sense of that religious knowledge, and either you became arhat or you became a great lay follower and later on go to the heaven. But other thing that was also found in the Buddhist monastic tradition is your liberation in terms of making people happy. And how you will make people happy? By providing them solutions that was not easily accessible to them, like medical science. This is very important thing, right? Something that social, like fear from death, like fear from, you can say, snake bite, like fear from this kind of distress. So almost these two traditions got merged. We generally talk about only in the religious terms, but the monasteries also has a very, even if you see the Sri Lanka, that monastery has also very important role in social and cultural terms. So Nalanda has almost taken this concept of the Buddhist monastic tradition and institutionalized. We have at least 30 to 40 epigraphical sources that mentions that hospitals, even sanatoriums, even common medical practices. He was teaching, when a monk or when a lay follower is coming, you will not offer a common water. You will mix water with cinnamon, with that tejpata, cinnamon, with clove, with pepper, boil it, cool it, and you will offer. Because people is coming from different leisure. May he can catch cold, may he catch tiredness. So you should offer. These are the very common thing. When monk even is coming, Nalanda has the special sanatorium, that foot massage was the first. It has literary evidence for that. They were given foot massage. Why? If it is much believed in India that in his prime time, Buddha almost traveled 45 kilometers in a day. Some teachers told me, I don't have evidence. But if he is running 40, definitely he can. 45 kilometers is, then he needs some time kind of that kind of thing. Say monk is wandering from one place to other place. So we have evidence from Rajgrah. We have a seal that this sanatorium for the monks was donated by this guild. So liberation in terms of not only religion, liberation in terms of social, cultural, economic deprivation. This is also one of the most important thing. And that is the theme of basically this book. And it is more profound and more emphatic. That conquered the world. People say that teaching conquered the world. I don't believe. Common practices of Buddhism conquered the world. That make them supreme. This is the greatness of Buddha. He was not teaching every people. He teach the people who can grasp his teaching. Otherwise, he was teaching commonly, sharing, imparting the basic knowledge, how you behave, how you do, how this. So this is the very important thing that is the main Nalanda tradition we have.
I have a question. I'm not from the field, so it's a little bit outside, but I'm curious to know what are the sources you have used? What material sources have you used in devising this narrative around Nalanda?
They have the parch one thing that I just want to tell you, that there is only one book available of Nalanda in India, and that is Pragya Paramita Sutra, and it is preserved in Bharat Kala Bhavan, Banaras. I have just put and so the basic that parch paper they just used, and they used probably some kind of chemical on it to just preserve it longer term. And they for the folder they use bamboo, and some kind of, you can say that, local available plant to just put, and sometime they also used metal to just fold it. And they did enormous polish, and you find in their prime days, when with learning, these manuscripts also started as a mode of worshipping the Pragya Paramita. Then it was what you say that written with silver and gold. And this is the only thing I just say that Theravada just directly inspired, especially the Myanmar. They have learned this technique and totally they have written same kind of manuscripts, though it was all Pali Suttas. So, and when Nālandā Mahāvihāra was founded, its first director visited number of villages to just not only for Pindapatha but also begging that if we have something of Nalanda, kindly donate. And in this donation he got a very important thing. I just discovered somehow, it is still preserved in the Pothi, nobody was that. We got 14 or 15th century Pragya Paramita written in Tibetan. It is written by gold. I have put the picture, gold, and I just asked it, open it, I got mesmerized, what is this? Then it is written in Tibetan. One of my students had knowledge of Tibetan and I asked, read this. It was written that it was donated by, I have the translation, my translation I have given first time. I just told it that this particular Pragya Paramita Sutra written in the gold on silver foil, donated by this in the year this. So first page, mesmerizing, you see that. And you will see that huge book in the BHU, they open it. So kindly see you. I just went and I taken the first cover page. And 5, 6 are more, that is in the West, in the Cambridge University library and all. So not in India, but latter manuscripts are much found in Bengal. So some are in Bangladesh, High Commissioner is sitting, so you can take support of it, and some are in Bengal, somewhere in the Asiatic Society Library or somewhere else. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for your inspiring presentation on Nalanda. I'm not a historian or my subject is not that, but I would like to ask, I've learned that there is another institution in Taxila, which is now in Pakistan, I think.
Yes.
Is there any connection between these two institutions, and what is your view about it?
Definitely, Takshashila is an institution. Probably, I don't have knowledge that any connection, because Takshila was 6th century BC, and after that we don't know that what is the historical survival. Probably it ended with the Alexander War and all. But the knowledge that it created is directly connected to Nalanda. We found it even during the foundation of Nalanda. The monks, especially the Mahasangika monks of 3 regions, that of the Magadha region and South India, I have told you Nagarjuna came, and Gandhara, finally were in regular interaction. And that's why you found that parallel development you find. Like Mahamayuri, one of the sutta, is one of the greatest medical treatise that Buddhist institution have. It was when it was discovered in Gandhara, the book shape and the material that was used, that belonged to Nalanda, because Gandhara has other material. They have a separate kind of paper that they bought taken from the Himalayan region. Here we are taking from the plain region, Tarai region. So that and many such manuscripts that was basically developed in Eastern India was found in Gandhara. Many of the things that were like stucco is that plaster decoration, that was developed probably in Gandhara, all you found in the Nalanda. So that shows that a greater interaction, and definitely interaction is there, because all Chinese monks are coming, majority Chinese monks are coming from the Central Asian routes, though they are following the 3 routes. One is from the Nepal, other is from the Tibet, second is from the Central Asia. But these two routes are very difficult, where mortality rate was very high. So that routes were open, so definitely they has a kind of interaction. So probably as an institution, Takshila did not survive, but their knowledge survived, because the medical tradition, it is said, that was most developed in Takshila. And another on two important school was founded in the eastern India. One is the Banarasi school, Kashi school, what you call, another is the Magadha school founded by Jiva. So those are the Buddhists. So definitely there is cultural exchanges.
Thank you, sir, for your very interesting and insightful perspectives on the book. And may I now invite Professor Anand Singh to present copies of his book to Venerable Professor Miriswaththe Wimalagnana. And on behalf of the High Commission of India, Professor Anand will receive. Professor Anand will accept a copy on behalf of the English Cultural Center. Copy to Madam Vivekananda. Director, SAARC Cultural Center will now present mementos as a token of gratitude and appreciation. We can meet Venerable Professor Miriswaththe Wimalagnana, Professor Anand Singh, Professor Anand.